Thank you, Craig. I appreciate that. Isn't that a whole weird, crazy little thing? Ah. You take a deep breath in. You take a moment to re-gauge where you're at. And as always, you coming through the void into this present moment. It's a little jarring. You take a step back out of the darkness and take a moment to find footing and to figure out even where the path is, right? What is the path in front of me? What am I doing here? What's going on? What is this? Am I in flight mode? Am I in fright mode? No, I'm okay right now. It's just a path, right? Just walking out of the void. Walk into a place that ideally exists in some weird liminal space outside of time and space, right? We'd like to go down this pathway to escape not real life, but all the routines that we get caught up in, the stuff that puts us on autopilot, right? All those different mechanisms in this different system that actually take us away from being here when all we're doing is trying to be present and survive. Sometimes you have to physically remove yourself from those situations to be able to be like, whoa, I really wasn't living there. I was just surviving. I was in this, matrix state of being, right? Or I'm plugged into the machine, as they like to say, just doing my daily routines. You make your way in through the doors and again through the tapestry of everything, through the smoke and through the ogre chili smell. You enter into the tavern. And this time you get to be joined by a returning face just from like a decade ago. But it is so wonderful to have you here again with us, Tegan. How are you doing today?
I am doing much better now. I did realize probably about 30 minutes ago the week is catching up with me, so I really appreciate being in this tavern and having a moment to be present and just truly unwind, de-stress the body for a second.
It is an absolute gift to have you here in the tavern. It's just always a gift to have you here present, period, first, I might say. Sometimes it really does, the week does catch up on you real quick, and sometimes out of nowhere you're like, oh wow, my shoulders have been tense for 4 days straight.
Yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm. The thought of a simple task as cleaning up the dinner dishes, you're like, oh, you feel a little bit more weight. You're like, gosh, really, I do this every day, huh?
It's the simple things, right? That's where you notice it. At least I've really in my practice have gotten there, right? Is like I can typically deal with it when I'm in those big moments. I know I'm in those big moments and I'm just kind of getting through them, right? It's not I'm like, okay, I'm here, I'm whatever, dealing with it. It's then when I'm trying to relax and I'm at home, right, or trying to just do those little small errands, pick up the house and everything like that. I'm like, whew, I'm feeling this. I'm pretty tired.
Absolutely.
And I think that really ultimately actually is kind of a good point of reflection for this week's question. As always, traveler, we are here to celebrate this week's meditation, this week's question of the week. So Tegan, pretty straightforward and pretty simple this week. What are you grateful for right now?
Oh Lordy, what am I grateful for? You say it's a simple question, but honestly, you can really give such a loaded answer with that.
You can give whatever answer you'd like.
Let me take a moment to just simply reflect on that question for a second.
I think that's the hard part about being in this kind of forum, right? It's like, oh, wait, it's just a question. Oh, no, it's not. I need to actually take a moment here and like, what is my answer here? Where am I feeling for? What am I, in this case, grateful for right now, right? And I think that's part of the challenge and like the point of the tavern, right? Is like, oh, wait, we do have to slow down and actually feel like what we're thinking here and like take a moment to stop,
I think a few things are starting to come to mind. And they span across a few different areas. I'll start with most recently. Today, I had my performance review actually with my manager, who I adore. And yes, so it was with my full-time job, and it was just, I truly felt so seen. It was wonderful. Like, spoiler alert, just so many examples from both my manager, and he was kind enough to take like pull quotes from other peer reviews that some of my colleagues that I asked to fill out one for myself did, and he shared that with me, which I don't get to see those. Like the he usually gets to only see them, so he shared them with me, and it was just like such kind words, and like people were really appreciative of my efforts and were being very frank in saying like how much they've witnessed me grow from a confidence standpoint to abilities. And it was just, it was truly like, I don't subscribe to the corporate machine by any means, but like to just have that moment where you're actually truly recognized for a second and really seen was lovely. Like I was feeling great after that, even though I am quite literally always busy with so many things on my plate. It was really nice to just like take a moment. It was just the two of us talking, and it was basically just him singing my praises. So that was something I'm really grateful for, to have him as a manager, be a part of that team. Like, while the greater company is still a corporation that is, you know, they could definitely benefit from some better business practices for their employees, as could every large corporation. But to have that like core team of really great colleagues and a manager that actually supports you is kind of a bit life changing in the way
Yeah.
that society is set up. So that was
No,
something I was really grateful for today.
and I know that like I can speak for, that's something that we kind of both share in a weird way, right? We both have a history where we actually do have one boss that we share together, actually. And I think that Gary actually is quite literally the exception to most bosses in general for a lot of different reasons. First and foremost, but
Mm-hmm.
like I just know from your personal thing that your professional validation has been really hard at certain points, right? And you, because of the
Yeah.
different situations and different organizations you've been in, and never for a lack of effort, right? I've seen
Yeah.
you firsthand, especially when you were back still living in Arizona. When or, in that last job you had there, I saw how fucking you grinded out some of
Yeah.
those days and just trying to show up. And to be able to be in a spot, right, to actually be, like you said, seen and validated by a quote unquote professional mentor, even though we don't subscribe to the system, we still
Mm-hmm.
have to survive in it, right? It
Yep.
is validating, and that is something to be grateful for. I think that's a really solid thing to for one of your prongs to be. Yeah, no, like I'm really
Yeah.
happy to hear that.
Thank you. I was happy to get to experience it. So that was wonderful. Another thing I'm grateful for, I've officially submitted intent to vacate my current apartment to the whole leasing agency. And so I
In the
found out that,
process.
yeah, we'll be able to get our deposit back, which is huge, even though we are breaking this lease and moving into a more stable and secure and most importantly, affordable home. That's like, I'm incredibly grateful for that, and for that chapter of, as I just mentioned, stability to like occur. Really welcoming it with open arms.
I think that like one, moving's not easy. I don't know if it's ever been easy throughout human history, but like the fact that like in order just to move, you need like realistically $3,000+ just to afford like breaking lease, not even breaking lease,
Yeah.
but like deposit fees and apartment like charging fees and all those different things and everything like that. What it comes out to, it's approximately like $3,500 you realistically need to move like in the U.S. right now, right? And that's just a flash 2024 poll, so whenever you're listening to this in whatever future age, I have no idea what the actual rate is, but like it's not really accessible right now. So like getting to that place of, especially in where your with market is, in fucking New York, right? Like having a place of
Mm-hmm.
stability that's fine. And like I'm seeing like these fucking TikToks right now, right? Of these like $1,200 studios that have like shared bathrooms, no space, that are like broom closets essentially, or like
Mm-hmm.
these like it's bonkers. It is
Yep.
in it's not ever how any housing system was ever designed to be sustainable.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's horrific is not a strong enough word, but it's the one I've got for right now.
And anytime you can get a deposit back too, like seriously, that's fucking dope. Like, because that doesn't happen
Yeah.
often. Because
I know.
that's just not a common practice. Because it's so, as you can see in on so many different one firsthand experiences, but then two, just like the general business practices is like to find something at fault to be able to claim that.
I know. Well, they did try originally to say that, we couldn't find a subleaser and we couldn't get all these things back, but my partner Jose, for all the travelers that don't know me yet, was able to look up tenant rights, and it was kind of a gotcha bitch moment. So we had rights. Shocker, I know. So yeah.
People fought for those, right?
Yeah, I know. So that worked out great. So stability, uh, feeling seen at work, and I think just in general, I'm so grateful to be back in New York. I have
Yeah.
an ever-growing community. I've made so many new friends, in addition to the old ones that I had here, and it's wonderful. I'm having a blast.
Well, I mean, that was a hard chapter for you to be like intentionally leave it with the trust that you'd be able to come back, right? That there was a lot of question marks around that, right? And you
Mhm.
definitely gave your best go back in LA again and everything like that. And that was ultimately not to be, without going too far into it, right? But I think that's something that we both talked about as we've been talking back and forth for the past few months of, right, that kind of reclamation of like being in our chosen homes, right, and what that means for us and like actually move forward in like our island of stability, right.
Mhm.
And that can't be said enough, right? And I think that is such an important thing to be grateful for, right? And I think that I think I know you are grateful for it is because of last weekend, right? When you just decided to give back, right? And you were involved in a little
Yeah.
mutual work, right? And like how important it is for you to be a part of that active community, right? And like for instance, myself, right? I got my first project coming up on Sunday, right?
Mhm.
That I'm super dope. And actually, these come out on Monday, so this would have happened yesterday, according to this episode, I think. Um, but it's like those are like those little, again, small signs, right? Those really show like the actual gratitude, right? Is because I know in LA it was a struggle to like leave the house and like
Yeah.
want to, right? And like for me, and the same thing in Arizona, right? We both experienced that in Arizona, even though it was kind of different with it being a childhood home of ours. Whereas here, like I can't be more excited enough to go on these small little adventures and like opportunities to get back and explore and do all these little things and be in these spaces. And I think that um, you know, it's funny how like being able to take a moment to stop and be gratitude and like, no, I really am grateful for this is already manifested in your actions.
Thank you. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Yeah, you kind of hit it on the nail on the head when you said, I cannot wait to go outside and explore or give back in any way you can. And it's true. Like, that's kind of how I used to describe it back to anybody who would listen in LA. Just the idea that I could go outside and just walk around and it would be great. And I would feel calm or at peace just doing that. And I did not feel that at all. In Los Angeles ever. And so I mean that alone is like a huge red flag. I was like, I could be alone doing something, sitting, people watching, and it's great. And I'm having the time of my life, even if I'm having a bad day. Whereas it was just always bad days in LA, as you're privy to. But I think that's enough about me. I gave
Yeah.
three holistic answers. I would love to know what you are grateful for, Tal.
So I wrote originally in the Discord that I'm just simply grateful for all of you here to experience this with. And I think that that's still my first answer, right? Um, the more deep I get in my practice, right, of my spiritual practice, right, and understanding kind of time and place of things, and the deeper I get into my recovery journey as well and healing, right, and understanding what a holistic healing approach is for me, right, compassion continuously becomes the through line, right, because of whatever reality existential thing it is. To be able to be here and experience this is just so mathematically insane. Whatever truth it is, it's insane that we're here experiencing it like this, right? And then I get these amazing gifts every day to like experience these quiet moments with all these people, like I said, to be here with you in this moment and like on opposite coast, right, in our chosen homes, but like still just reminiscing like we were just having a tea back at AJ's, right? um
Mm-hmm.
like that's such an insane, like the reality of like to be here and like that is so hard, as we know, to be able to show up and create this space, like even for us to find time to be here like this is a challenge. So like all those little things that are so mundane have me filled with so much gratitude. And I think that that's really exemplified because so many of the big things in life have been so difficult recently, right? And so many challenges. This winter was hard for a lot of different survival reasons. Not all of my family survived, right? Um,
Mhm.
but like at the same time, it's continuing to take those big things and simplifying them in incremental steps and taking it one step at a time and dealing with, as I've been talking about some of the financial stuff with some of the car difficulties, right? And just accepting reality and being able to move forward, right? And being able to, uh, accept those new places and take them as steps forward. Like I am so grateful that I got because I see so many people get stuck and really not, and I do too. Like I know I'm not exempt from
Mhm.
this. I'm a human too, and I get stuck in things, and I get set in patterns, right? And like anyone, but like I see how it consumes certain people, and just for an extreme example, Alex Jones, right? Um, right, you see these
Mhm.
people and these it's really scary, right? And
Yeah.
to the point of incapability of change, right? And to the point of so incapable of change that they're not able to accept the fundamental understanding of what we, to our best of our knowledge, can understand of reality, right? That like
Yeah.
fundamentally, like it's not Armageddon Day tomorrow. The world's going to still keep existing, right? Fossil fuel, climate change, all those basic, like there's altered realities that are going on, and I'm so incredibly thankful that whatever fucking weird crazy journey, because I've teetered with being black pilled, I've teetered with being red pilled. I was on all those same I was on 4chan and I was doing all the hard drugs. I was getting all those places and I
Mhm.
took it to those conspiracy places. And I am so lucky that my end result of that's fucking compassion. It's not
Yeah.
this insane Christian right wing narrative. It's not this insane black pill Zionist occupation movement. It's not this insane whatever. I am so grateful that I have been able to teeter along these extreme things and go through these different things from a very privileged place in our society and be able to go through my own descent on it and my own deconstruction on it and to change my identity and do my gender into actually who I feel like is the most healthy version of myself, right? And actually take a moment to be here and to just like hear my fucking best friend who's gone through a similar path and journey in their own right. um it's it's like it so fucking blows my mind. That's all I can say, right? And it's been so hard. It's been truly the hardest thing I've ever done, right? Is
Yeah.
taking a moment to realize where I'm wrong, where I am holding on to things that I don't want to change about myself, that I have this innate privilege, or that I have been wronged, or I have been suffered, or I deserve better, or I'm not worth. All these different intrusive thought battle, all of these things that we talked about in the decade plus or about decade we've known each other, right? Um, to be able to be at a place right here and to be just so grateful and take my time. My entire life is comprised of essentially finding all the little things to be grateful for of and fighting for those things. Like for that to be my daily battle at this point, right? Like it's it's so great. It's really cool,
Sure.
and because like I can deal with all these insane hard things and these insane big things and still be like, okay, it's just one day at a time, right? It's still that same approach that I was able to learn through my recovery and all these different little things that just push me in the right way for whatever different reason, where my end result is compassion. And like that is my ultimate guiding principle in figuring out how I can just react more with compassion and take a next step forward. And I'm very
Mhm.
grateful for that.
Yeah. I mean, I also think you're being a little too humble and modest with yourself because that is a trait that you do possess. But I think I'd like to highlight just for anybody who may be listening out there that uh, Tal has has really been through it, right? And has touched on all of these crazy belief systems and all of these hardships. And yes, you have come out on the other side, or whatever, if it is the other side, another side, whatever, another area, because the journey is not over. But I think for you to arrive at this place and strong core belief of compassion just speaks volumes about who you are as a person. Like, I don't think it didn't just happen by choice or by chance, which um maybe a couple points that you're sort of making because, what are the odds we exist right now together on the opposite side of a country, blah, 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 right? But I do think that you as a person in your core are just like, that's who you are. And you took all of this very long journey to just peel back those layers, like you said, of so many different things, like from your recovery to your sexuality to your gender to everything, right? Um, and yeah, so I just wanted to give you a pat on the back and let you know
Thank you.
that, like, yes, um, you definitely could have had the red pill, the black pill,
Yeah.
all that shit, but you didn't, just because that's not who you are, and you're a person who is truly filled with unconditional love, and that manifests in so many different ways. And yeah, the way that you just operate with compassion is very honorable and impressive. Like, it's ever admirable.
Well, for the once on this podcast, except when I'm doing my meditations, I'm a little lost for words. Thank you.
Mhm.
I think that taking the time to be able to, as you know, I love to celebrate. I love the kindness of life, right? And instead of trying to fight anything or to try to add on to it, I'll just say thank you. I
Of
appreciate it a
course.
lot. And it's been like I said too, right? A lot of choice and a lot of effort. And I think that I've ultimately, that's why I always like to say I'd rather be lucky than skilled, because I do think that for whatever reason, I've always kind of, from my earliest memory, always had that kind of perception of let's be nice and like let's be kind. And I was taught that, and when I was whatever it was that made that, I'm very grateful that that is my kind of default experience. And I am a little bit more emotional than I thought I would be right now. So wow, thank you very much.
You're so welcome.
I don't have a whole much to add to that. Then I just hope that wherever you're at, traveler, wherever the situation that you might be dealing with right now, whatever big hardships, whatever little hardships you are dealing with right now, it doesn't matter what those things are, that you are able to take a moment to find your own tavern and to find that gratitude. I know that we can't all be fortunate enough to have a Tegan in our lives to show us what unconditional love looks like over the course of maturing friendship and a maturing lifetime. Um, but I can say that no matter who you are, if you are a conscious being, human or not, right, you don't deserve to suffer. You deserve compassion, and you deserve that kindness too. Wherever you might be, traveler, you are loved, and you are enough. And Tegan, do you have any last words that you'd like to say?
I think I'd like to say that it costs $0 to be kind. And those are my final thoughts.
Well, thank you very much. I hope to have you back here again soon. But selfishly, I'm just very happy that you were able to be here. And thank you very much for joining us. As always, you are loved. Traveler, you are loved too.
Thank you for having me.
I have achieved a great deal. lived it in the past, you would have to live once more, but innumerable times.